What about the Mafia?
The Mafia was massive in New York. My granddad, like a Greek, he owned a diner down on the docks in Red Hook, which is where the docks still are. And so he had
it's crazy to think these areas now are so expensive to live in.
So Red Hook is expensive. Yeah. And
Park Slope is not. Do you still have your parents' house?
Have it there.
I mean, like, when you ever sell your family home, I mean, it's whatever you want.
My dad bought it for $28,000 from an Irish family that didn't have a gas stove, like the Murphys.
You're home now.
Yeah, and
now
it's
like sell
it. It's in millions.
$28,000.
$28,000 for 1959.
1959, $28,000, and now you could sell it for millions.
So the Mafia was just part of life.
Yeah.
And it's interesting hearing my dad tell, because they didn't look at it like it was all crime. It was like, you got to think back then, cops were paid off. It took a while for cops to get there. Everything was cash.
Yeah.
There was no credit cards. So robbery was happened all the time.
Yeah.
So the Mafia was a way for you not to get robbed. So my grandfather, Albert Anastasia, the famous gangster Albert Anastasia, his brother would run Red Hook docks. That was his area. They would have areas. And so my grandfather would pay. And
what year is this?
We're talking about this is the 30s, 40s.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So my grandfather would go. My father remembers he would go sit in Albert Anastasia's brother's car, hand him an envelope, and that was protection money.
Yeah.
It was saying
you can't come there and mess.
Nobody's gonna mess with it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I wonder how much they paid them.
I don't know.
You just pay them whatever a week.
It was like a business.
Yeah.
So it's they didn't charge you enough, so you'd go broke.
Yeah.
And
it's almost like you had to do it, because what are you going to do? If you don't do it, they might be the problem that you have.
Right.
And so, if you don't want any other problems, you're I just want to be a nice restaurant. People can come in and eat.
It's kind of choosing between two evils.
Yeah.
So it's you choose the lesser.
Yeah.
A lesser by a lot. And a lot of people looked at it as a good thing.
Yeah.
Because they ran the neighborhoods, and the neighborhoods, they didn't allow any bad stuff to happen.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it was almost a better.
Nobody would come in and mess with that neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when did all that stuff start going away?
Giuliani was the big one who put them all away. He ended the mob. Now the Russian mob is big and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the Cosa Nostra was kind of it had its era. And then, Giuliani was in New York, really broke them up. And I don't know, when there was less cash, I think a lot of it had to do with just there being so much cash.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, now it's start getting credit cards.
That's why a lot of stores don't even do cash.
Yeah.
Because it's, if you have a staff closing up,
yeah,
what's there to rob? You're going to rob the lettuce or the chicken?
Yeah.
If there's no cash, nothing to steal.
Yeah.
Do you know how New York or any of its boroughs got their names?
I don't.
So the Dutch settled New York. They called it New Amsterdam.
Oh, that's right.
And then
Brooklyn is also a Dutch name.
They're almost
Brooklyn,
all they're almost all Dutch names. But then a few years later, the English took over from the Dutch, and they changed it to New York after the Duke of York.
What do you think? Do you think when growing up in New York, did y'all think about the rest of America ever?
Yeah.
Never.
We didn't even think about. I didn't even know Canada. When I found out there was a country up there, I was like, "What?
What? Yeah,
that's wild."
I mean, y'all just think you're the world.
We do think
because
we're the world.
there's so many people from different places there. So I mean, Tennessee never crossed your mind.
Such a big city, it feels like your universe.
Yeah. And you never, if someone talked about going to California, you're like, I don't even know what that is.
So foreign, yeah. I didn't even understand.
I remember when we got two major league sports teams here, the Titans and the Predators, and it just was the greatest thing ever. Yeah. You have two of every major sports team.
Everything.
It's
crazy.
So crazy to
me. I mean, the population, it just can support anything. We could probably do a third or fourth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where was the first city you went to outside of our state?
Probably D.C.
Yeah.
Because my brother went to school there.
Yeah.
So probably D.C. Yeah.
But then do you remember going even farther, middle of the country?
I didn't leave. We would go to Greece a few times.
Yeah.
So that was Greece and D.C. because my brother went to school there. Other than that, I went nowhere.
Yeah.
We wouldn't even go to Long Island.
Yeah.
We didn't even go to Queens.
Is this your first time to the South?
No, I've been to the South.
This is the first time in Nashville.
First time in Nashville.
Yeah.
First time in Nashville.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is
but
a
now
way,
you
as
travel,
which is a way as a comic just admitting you haven't been booked by Zanies.
Yeah.
When you're a comic, you haven't been somewhere. The other comics are like, I guess he hasn't worked that club.
Yeah. Well, comedy is really what made you start going to different places.
Right.
And seeing all the different things.
Right.
That's what I always found it when we would always talk about that. We would always joke and make fun of each other, but saying I wasn't cultured. But it's a very weird, different kind of thing. Technically, he's not cultured either, even though I'm not cultured in the fact that I don't know. You know so many people from so many different places, and so many different countries and world. I mean, like just these whole other worlds you're around. Like you're these way these people grow up, and I was never around that, but I have traveled more, and I've been in more different situations and lived in different cities.
Yeah.
And it's but yeah, it's there. I mean, guys are not leaving their blocks. They're not leaving.
No.
Families. You're I mean, your grandfather to your dad to you, y'all are in Brooklyn.
Yes.
I mean, it's kind of insane that you don't live where you do. I guess when your brother moved to DC was kind of crazy.
He moved away.
That was a big deal.
Big deal, yeah.
Yeah.
Big
Why are you
deal.
going to DC?
He went to school there.
Yeah. No, I mean, saying like that's your family thought. Like,
yeah.
Were
Well, when my dad went to Ithaca, he played football, and my dad went to Ithaca to go to college. My grandfather, who was an immigrant from Greece, was like, "Why are you doing that?
yeah.
Like, why are you leaving?"
Where would you go to college in Brooklyn? Just Brooklyn
College, Hunter College. There's
Yeah.
a bunch, but yeah, it was like, why that generation's like, I have the restaurant
Yeah.
for you. Take over this business. Like, traveling was like a,
Is there there's a different personality of Brooklyn and Queens and
Yes.
New York? Like Sam
Yes.
Morrill,
Yes.
very funny
Manhattan
comedian.
kid. Yeah.
Manhattan kid.
Yeah.
Manhattan kid, y'all did not put up
Different.
with.
They're different.
You
They're
didn't-
like
you didn't
rich.
like it.
You think like a Manhattan, you're rich,
Yeah.
which isn't always the case.
Yeah.
But Sam Morril is just a good old New York City.
Yeah.
Doesn't celebrate Christmas.
Yeah. Doesn't?
No.
No, yeah.
Yeah, you've been off stage for a little while. I mean,
Yeah.
that was. I'm
Yeah.
trying to say
Yeah.
in the cleanest way possible that he's Jewish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't pick up on it.
He's got
You
that
know-
hat, but it's a
you know what
lot
I'm talking about?
smaller.
It's a lot smaller.
Yeah.
Let's just say his December's quite busy.
Yeah. Yeah. He eats Chinese food one more day a week than you,
do.
maybe.
You know what I'm talking about? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, but Sam was in Manhattan. I remember Sam going on the road for the first time. Was like him leaving Manhattan, no license. When did you get your license? Driver's
Yeah,
license?
20s.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
Wow.
don't drive. Yeah.
Yeah.
No driving. It's an impediment to have a car
yeah.
because of parking and like
And
traffic.
they're stealing it, and they're breaking into
They're
it.
breaking and stealing
Yeah.
into it too. Yeah.
One less thing to not get broken into
Exactly.
is a good thing.
Exactly. And the train is so efficient. You can
Yeah.
get pretty much anywhere within a couple blocks
Yeah,
with the
Mhm.
train.
the G line came, and that was
The G line took,
the going to Queens.
Yeah.
That was G line was terrible.
G line was terrible, but G line would take all the gentrifying, the white kids who gentrified Williamsburg home.
Yeah,
So it's like, it used to be a bad train line, and Colin Quinn had a great joke where he called it looked like a ski lift.
yeah.
It was so white, he's like, it's a
yeah,
ski lift.
yeah.
I think it was Willis McGahee when he got drafted by the Bills. He thought that was New York City. He said he just heard
thought
Buffalo, New
Buffalo?
York, and he got there and he's like, "Where's all the buildings?"
Yeah.
He really thought he was going to New York City till he arrived in Buffalo.
Well, it shows you everybody that lives in your town. You don't really pay attention to anything else.
No.
I remember going to New York. I mean, obviously you hear about New York, and I remember seeing the Statue of Liberty. And so I would go look at it a lot. I would just always, and I would always remember every time I saw it, I was like, I can't believe I'm looking at the Statue of Liberty. And I thought that for 9 years. I looked at it before I left. I just always would go to it and go, I can't believe I'm seeing the Statue of Liberty. That's so crazy with my own eyes.
Mhm.
I'm looking at it. Where you would have, I mean,
It was just like, I don't even think I went to the Statue
Yeah.
of Liberty till like
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah.
It was just a thing that was there. It's part
Yeah.
of what you grew up. It's
Yeah.
crazy. It's like, yeah, that's where we all came from.
yeah,
Well, most of us. Well, not most of us, but like anyone who lived in New York, their parents or grandparents came through there. Your grandparents came through there
Yeah.
at some point.
I think we
Bargatze.
skipped it. I think we missed it. We went a different route.
You went a different route, but you have some Italian in you.
Yeah, we have
Yeah.
some, but we went. I tried to look it up when I went, and I couldn't. I couldn't find my name, but we could have been spelled under a different name.
Yeah.
But we think they came. We do think they came through a different way. 'Cause
Yeah.
some people did come through. I think the
Mhm.
Carolinas.
It says 40% of Americans can trace their ancestry through Ellis Island.
Insane. That's
40%.
insane.
Almost
That's
half of the
huge.
country.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
we were already here.
I mean, that's what you like to tell yourself, and
Yeah.
I applaud your
Yeah.
patriotism. But
We
at some
live-
point, you had an ancestor who's going, "Questa la vita sabella."
Yeah, we live as we were already here.
Yeah.
The
When
Du-
did you come? Your grandparents?
Grandparents,
Yeah,
grandparents, and then my mother came.
yeah,
My mother was born in Greece.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm a Greek.
yeah.
Greek
and you're-
Orthodox?
Greek Orthodox, how I grew up, which is Christian.
Yeah,
You celebrate Easter different day?
We do celebrate Easter.
we talked about the calendar.
Yeah,
What
we
day
have a
do you-
different calendar.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all Roman
coming
Empire
up?
stuff, huh?
Your Easter's about to
Our
come
Easter changes every year, and I make the joke always that like it always comes after your Easter. And
Yeah,
I
it's like
always say,
7 days later.
yeah, I always say because yours is like a dress rehearsal for Jesus. He's just
Yeah.
like trying out his stuff, and then he
And
does
then
the
he
real
does the real-
show for the real
yeah.
people. Yeah,
up. Yeah, for the real Greeks.
yeah.